The outer edge of the Kalar trade belt was a place where rules faded and survival decided value. Ships of every shape moved slowly through the crowded docking lanes, some shining and proud, others patched together with mismatched metal plates. Traders shouted across open channels, smugglers negotiated in quiet corners, and mercenaries watched everything with careful eyes. Among them was a small human cargo vessel named Wayfarer. It did not look impressive compared to the massive alien freighters around it, but its systems were reliable, and its pilot had a reputation for surviving impossible situations. Elias stood near the observation window of Dock Ring 7, watching the endless movement outside. He was a human in his early 30s, calm and observant, dressed in simple practical clothes instead of armor or ceremonial outfits, like many alien traders preferred. His dark eyes moved slowly from one ship to another, as if reading silent stories written into their hulls. Humans were still new to the galactic community. Many alien species considered them unpredictable and overly emotional. Some saw them as brave explorers. Others saw them as reckless troublemakers. Elias had learned that expectations did not matter as much as choices. He had arrived at the station to collect payment for a dangerous salvage mission. The client, a nervous reptilian merchant named Vorin, had failed to deliver the agreed credits. Now Elias was forced to attend an informal auction where debtors traded whatever they had left. The auction took place in a wide chamber filled with flickering lights and murmuring voices. Metal platforms rose from the floor, each displaying different goods, rare minerals, damaged weapons, outdated navigation systems, even living creatures offered as labor contracts. Elias did not like that part of the trade world. Slavery was technically illegal under most galactic laws, but loopholes existed. Some species called it debt service or indentured protection. The words changed, but the meaning often stayed the same. Vorin approached him nervously. "Human Elias," he said, his voice clicking softly. "I regret circumstances. My cargo was seized. I cannot provide full payment." Elias crossed his arms. Yes.
But I offer alternative compensation. Valuable asset.
Ooh. Elias sighed quietly. He had heard that before. They walked toward one of the platforms. A tall alien woman stood there, surrounded by a faint energy barrier. She wore simple gray clothing and a thin metallic collar rested against her neck. Her posture was straight, despite the situation, her eyes calm and distant. She did not look frightened. She looked resigned. "What is this?" Elias asked. "High-quality labor asset," Vorin said quickly. "Very intelligent species. Rare. Good investment." Elias felt a familiar tension in his chest. He disliked the way Vorin avoided looking directly at her. The woman's gaze shifted briefly toward Elias. There was something unusual in her eyes, a quiet strength that did not match the label placed on her. "What's her name?" Elias asked. Vorin hesitated. Lyra. Lyra did not speak. She simply watched. Other buyers gathered nearby, whispering. Some laughed, dismissing her as worthless. "That species fell long ago," one trader said. "No strength left. Old bloodline with no future. Too much risk," another added. "Empire remnants bring hunters. Fallen empire. Hunters." Interesting. He stepped closer to the barrier. Lyra's eyes followed him without fear. "Do you want to be here?" he asked quietly. The question surprised even himself. No one asked that during auctions. Lyra's expression shifted slightly, as if she had not expected kindness. "I do not choose," she said softly. Her voice was calm but carried weight. "I endure."
Elias looked back at Vorin. "This is your payment offer?" "Yes."
Full debt covered. Valuable asset. Elias could have demanded equipment instead. Weapons, ship parts, navigation upgrades, practical choices. Instead, he studied Lyra again. Something about her presence felt wrong for this setting. She stood like someone trained to command, not someone waiting to be owned. "Remove the collar," Elias said suddenly. Vorin shook his head quickly. "Cannot." Safety regulation.
Elias frowned. He disliked force control devices, but arguing here would attract attention.
He exhaled slowly, then nodded. "Fine, I accept." Murmurs spread through the crowd. "The human is foolish," someone whispered. Elias ignored them. He signed the transfer, officially taking responsibility for Lyra's contract. The energy barrier faded. Lyra stepped forward calmly, standing beside him without hesitation. Up close, he noticed faint patterns across her skin, almost like soft glowing lines hidden beneath the surface. They returned to the Wayfarer. The docking bay lights reflected across the ship's worn metal hull. Elias entered first, guiding her inside. "This is my ship," he said simply. "No one is forced here. You understand?"
Lyra nodded slowly.
"You accepted ownership."
I accepted responsibility. Elias corrected gently.
She studied him with quiet curiosity. Inside the ship, the atmosphere felt different from the crowded station. Soft engine hum filled the air, tools rested neatly along walls, and a small garden module grew green plants near the rear corridor. Lyra paused near the plants, observing them closely.
"You grow life in a metal vessel," she said.
It helps me think, Elias replied. She looked thoughtful but said nothing more.
Once the ship undocked, Elias set a course away from the station. Stars stretched into lines as they entered faster-than-light travel.
Hours passed in silence.
Finally, Elias spoke.
"You don't have to stay if you don't want to."
"When we reach a safe port, you're free to go."
Lyra turned toward him slowly.
"Why?" "Because you're not property." Her expression changed, almost confused. "No one has spoken those words to me since. Before," she said quietly. "Before what?" She hesitated, then looked away. Another time. He understood silence. Later, warning alarms suddenly echoed through the ship. Sensors detected fast-moving vessels approaching from behind. "Pirates!" Elias muttered. 3 small attack ships appeared on the display, moving aggressively. Lyra stepped closer to the console, studying the data quickly. "They are targeting your engine output pattern," she said. "You read tactical displays?" Elias asked. "Yes." Her voice carried unexpected authority. "Then help," he said without hesitation. Lyra began suggesting maneuvers, predicting enemy movements with precision that surprised him. Together they navigated through an asteroid field, using debris to confuse their pursuers. At one moment, she reached toward a secondary control panel and activated a hidden system Elias rarely used. The timing was perfect, allowing the ship to slip away while pirates collided with floating rock fragments. Silence returned.
Elias glanced at her.
"You said you were labor asset."
I said, "I endure," she corrected softly. He laughed quietly.
As they left danger behind, a new signal appeared on the console, encrypted, ancient in design. Lyra froze. The message decoded automatically. "Your Highness," the voice said, "we have found you." Elias turned slowly toward her. Lyra closed her eyes as if a past she had tried to escape was finally catching up. And for the first time, Elias realized that the person he had accepted as payment might be far more important and far more dangerous than anyone at the auction had understood. The words from the transmission stayed in the air long after the signal ended.
"Your Highness,
We have found you.
Elias stared at the screen, then slowly turned toward Lyra. She stood still near the console, her hands resting lightly against the metal surface. Her calm expression had changed. Not fear, not shock, something deeper. Recognition. He muted the incoming channel but kept the recording saved. "You want to explain that?" he asked gently. Lyra did not answer immediately. She watched the stars moving outside the viewport, as if searching for strength in their endless motion. "I hoped this moment would never come," she said quietly.
That sounds serious. Elias crossed his arms, waiting patiently.
He had learned that silence often encouraged truth more than pressure. After a long pause, Lyra turned toward him. "My people once ruled the great empire," she said. "Long ago. We built alliances, protected trade routes, and created technology that shaped the galaxy. But power attracts betrayal. Our empire fell not because we were weak, but because we trusted the wrong allies." Elias listened without interrupting. "Survivors were hunted," she continued. "Many were killed. Others disappeared. Those with noble bloodlines became targets."
"And you're one of them," Elias said.
She nodded slowly. "I am the last direct heir." The words felt heavy in the small control room. Elias leaned back slightly, processing everything. "So the person I accepted as payment is actually royalty? Former royalty. My title means nothing now."
Someone clearly thinks it means something, Elias said, pointing at the silent communication screen. Lyra's gaze hardened.
"That signal is not from friends. Loyalists might search for me, yes, but so do enemies."
"Anyone who finds me first decides my future."
Elias exhaled slowly.
He had expected complications, but this was larger than anything he imagined. "What do you want to do?" he asked. She seemed surprised by the question. "You ask what I want?"
Of course. Lyra hesitated.
"I want peace. I want anonymity. I do not wish to reclaim a throne."
Elias nodded thoughtfully. "Then we avoid whoever sent that message. It will not be simple," she said quietly. As if to prove her point, the ship's sensors detected distant scanning signals. Someone was already searching. Elias adjusted course, guiding the wayfarer toward a dense asteroid region where tracking signals would weaken. Lyra watched him carefully. "You could leave me at the nearest port," she said.
"This is not your conflict." "Maybe not," Elias replied, "but I made a choice at that auction."
"I don't abandon people." Her eyes softened slightly. During the next few days, they traveled quietly through remote sectors. Lyra helped with navigation, showing unexpected knowledge of ancient routes that were no longer listed on modern star maps. "You've done this before," Elias said one evening while reviewing data. "I was trained for leadership," she replied. "Strategy, diplomacy, survival. You don't act like someone who wants power, because I have seen what power destroys." Her words carried quiet sadness. They stopped at a small frontier colony for supplies. The colony was a mix of species living together under loose agreements, far from major political control. As they walked through the market, Lyra kept her hood low, avoiding attention. Elias noticed how others reacted to her presence without understanding why. Some stepped aside instinctively, others watched her with curiosity, sensing something unusual. While exploring an old technology stall, Lyra paused suddenly. A small device on the counter began glowing faintly as she approached. The vendor frowned. "That thing hasn't worked in years." Lyra reached toward it carefully. The device activated fully, projecting a holographic emblem into the air. A symbol shaped like a rising star surrounded by rings. Several nearby traders gasped.
"That's Imperial design," someone whispered.
Elias quickly turned off the projection, sensing danger. Too late. A nearby drone recorded the event and transmitted it across local networks. Lyra stepped back, regret clear in her eyes.
I did not intend that.
It's okay, Elias said calmly. We just leave now. They returned to the ship quickly, but whispers followed them. Back aboard the Wayfarer, Elias accelerated departure. Moments later, long-range sensors detected a massive vessel entering the system. Lyra's face went pale.
That is not a pirate ship, she said.
The warship appeared on the screen, dark, elegant, and powerful. Its design carried echoes of ancient imperial style but modified with modern weapons. A transmission arrived immediately.
Unidentified human vessel, a calm voice said. You are harboring Lyra Valeris, rightful heir of the Arden Empire.
Surrender immediately. Resistance will not be tolerated. Elias glanced at Lyra. Friends?
No, she whispered.
They believe they serve my empire, but they do not understand what it became. What do they want from you? To control me. The warship's weapons powered up, glowing faintly across the darkness. All right then. He switched the communication channel on. This is Elias of the Wayfarer, he said calmly. Lyra is not property. She decides her own future. Silence followed, then the voice returned, colder now. Human, you do not understand the scale of this situation. Deliver her, and you will be rewarded. Elias glanced at Lyra. She looked uncertain, torn between fear and resignation. He smiled slightly.
I'm human, he said quietly to her.
Not understanding complicated situations is basically our specialty. She almost laughed. He turned back to the screen.
No deal, he said.
The warship moved closer. Lyra's eyes widened.
You risk your life for someone you barely know.
You helped me survive pirates. Feels fair. A faint warmth appeared in her expression.
Then we escape,
she said firmly. Together they began preparing evasive maneuvers. As the massive warship closed distance, the Wayfarer dove into a field of drifting wreckage from an ancient battle. Metal fragments and energy interference made targeting difficult. Lyra guided navigation with precise commands, predicting enemy strategies before they happened.
You think like them, Elias said.
I was raised among them, she replied. A missile passed dangerously close, shaking the ship. Elias grinned despite the danger. Good thing humans specialize in crazy plans. He triggered an old salvage drone, sending it flying toward the warship with a modified signal emitter. The drone projected false engine signatures, confusing enemy targeting systems.
The warship hesitated, scanning multiple targets.
Using that moment, the Wayfarer slipped behind a massive drifting hull fragment and jumped into faster-than-light travel. Silence filled the ship again. Lyra sat slowly in a nearby chair, breathing deeply.
You could have handed me over, she said quietly.
I could have, Elias agreed. Why did you not?
He thought for a moment before answering. Because you're not a debt payment. You're a person. Lyra looked at him for a long time, as if those words carried more weight than anything else. Outside, the stars stretched into light once more. But now, the galaxy knew she was alive, and somewhere behind them, forces both loyal and hostile had begun moving, all searching for the heir of a lost empire. The stars stretched into long silver lines as the Wayfarer moved through faster-than-light travel. Inside the ship, silence felt heavier than before. The escape from the warship had changed everything. Now the galaxy knew that Lyra was alive, and there would be no hiding forever. Elias sat in the pilot's chair, reviewing sensor data again and again, searching for signs of pursuit. His face remained calm, but his thoughts moved quickly. He had survived dangerous situations before, but protecting someone hunted by powerful factions was different. Lyra stood near the observation window, watching distant stars fade and reappear as they shifted back into normal space. Her posture was straight, but Elias noticed tension in her shoulders.
"They will not stop," she said quietly.
"Good," Elias replied. She turned toward him, confused.
"Good? If they stop chasing, it means they already won," he said with a small smile. "As long as we're running, we still have choices."
Humans spoke differently than Imperial leaders, less formal, more direct. It was strange, but comforting.
"We cannot run forever," she said.
"I know," he replied. "So we prepare." He opened a star map, highlighting hidden regions and abandoned sectors. "You mentioned ruins before," he said. "Old Imperial places that few know about."
Yes, there is one location ancient even during my childhood.
A sanctuary used by royal families during times of crisis.
Sounds perfect, Elias said.
"It is also dangerous," she warned. "Old defense systems may still function."
Danger seems to follow us anyway. A faint smile appeared on her face. The wayfarer adjusted course toward an uncharted region, filled with dead stars and drifting debris. The journey took several days, during which Lyra and Elias worked together more naturally than before. She helped upgrade shield systems using techniques from her empire's engineering traditions, while he modified navigation patterns with unpredictable human logic. During one quiet evening, they shared a simple meal in the ship's small common area. The garden module glowed softly, casting green light across the walls. "Why do humans help strangers?" Lyra asked suddenly.
Elias thought carefully before answering. Not all humans do.
But many of us, we know what it feels like to be underestimated.
Maybe that makes us more willing to give others a chance.
She nodded slowly. "My people valued honor," she said. "But sometimes, honor became rigidity. We followed tradition even when it harmed us." "Humans break tradition all the time," Elias said.
Sometimes that causes problems too.
She laughed quietly, a rare sound. As they approached the coordinates, sensors detected massive structures hidden among asteroid fragments. Ancient towers floated in silence, covered in age and damage. Lyra's eyes widened.
"It still exists."
The sanctuary emerged slowly from darkness, a circular structure surrounding a central spire. Faint lights activated as the ship drew closer, responding to her presence. "You didn't tell me it was this big," Elias said. "It was never meant to be seen," she replied softly. As they landed inside a docking chamber, systems activated automatically. Ancient symbols glowed along the walls, recognizing Imperial bloodlines. Lyra stepped forward slowly, touching a control panel. The structure hummed to life, projecting holographic displays around them.
Welcome, heir!
An old artificial voice said gently. Lyra closed her eyes briefly, overwhelmed. Elias watched quietly, giving her space. Data streams filled the air. Historical records, star maps, security alerts. The sanctuary had been waiting for her for centuries. "This place contains knowledge lost to the galaxy," she whispered.
"And now it belongs to you," Elias said. She shook her head.
It belongs to responsibility. While exploring deeper sections, they discovered dormant defense drones and advanced ships hidden in underground hangars. The Empire had prepared for survival even in defeat.
But their arrival did not go unnoticed. Sensors detected incoming ships entering the system. Multiple factions, drawn by rumors spreading across galactic networks. Lyra watched the approaching signals with mixed emotions. Fear, determination, and something new. Acceptance.
"I cannot hide anymore,"
she said. Elias nodded.
"Then we decide what comes next." Inside the sanctuary's main chamber, Lyra accessed an ancient throne interface.
Energy surrounded her gently as systems linked to her identity. Memories flooded her mind. Lessons from childhood, voices of teachers, expectations of leadership. She felt the weight of history pressing down on her. "I never wanted this," she said quietly. "You don't have to follow the old path," Elias replied. She looked at him. "My people believe an heir must reclaim power," she said.
"But I have seen what power without compassion creates." "Then change the rules," Elias said simply. The suggestion shocked her.
"Change? Imperial tradition? Why not?" he said with a small grin.
Humans do that all the time. Outside, enemy ships approached rapidly. Some broadcast messages of loyalty, others threats.
Lyra stepped forward toward a communication console.
If I speak, they will expect authority, she said.
"Then give them something unexpected," Elias suggested. She activated a broadcast channel. Across the system, her image appeared on every ship's display. "I am Lyra Valeris," she said calmly, "heir of the Arden Empire. I do not return to conquer. I return to end the cycle of fear." Silence followed. Several ships powered weapons anyway. Elias sighed. "Guess some people don't listen." Defense drones activated automatically, surrounding the sanctuary. A battle began, but instead of destruction, Lyra focused on disabling weapons and forcing retreat rather than annihilation. Her choices confused enemies and inspired uncertain allies. During the chaos, a loyalist ship transmitted a message. Survivors across the galaxy were rallying after hearing her voice. Lyra watched the data with disbelief. "They still believe in me," she whispered. "Maybe they believe in who you choose to be," Elias said. The fighting slowed as enemy forces withdrew temporarily, unsure of how to respond to her new approach. Inside the sanctuary, Lyra stood quietly, processing everything.
I thought my story ended when my empire fell,
she said.
"Maybe it's just starting," Elias replied. She turned toward him, her expression stronger than before.
"I will not rebuild the empire as it was," she said firmly. "If I lead, it will be differently." That sounds like a very human decision. Outside, stars burned brightly against the darkness, and across the galaxy, whispers spread faster than any ship could travel. The heir had returned. But she was not the ruler anyone expected. The sanctuary floated silently among broken stars, but inside it, everything had changed. News of Lyra's return spread across the galaxy faster than any ship could travel. Some called her a savior. Others called her a threat. Many simply watched, waiting to see what she would become. Elias stood beside the main observation window, arms crossed as he watched dozens of ships gathering at the edge of the system. They came from different factions, survivors of the old empire, independent traders, curious explorers, and powerful organizations hoping to control the future. Lyra stood at the center of the command chamber, surrounded by glowing holographic displays. She no longer looked like someone hiding from her past. She stood like someone learning how to shape it. "They expect decisions," she said quietly. "They always will," Elias replied. She looked toward him.
"I do not wish to become a ruler who demands obedience." "Then don't," he said simply. She smiled faintly.
Human advice often sounded too simple, but it carried unexpected wisdom. Outside, a group of heavily armed ships moved closer, sending formal requests for negotiation. Among them was the warship that had chased them earlier. Lyra felt tension rise, but remained calm. "I must face them," she said. "You won't face them alone," Elias answered. She nodded gratefully. The sanctuary opened a large communication channel, allowing multiple factions to connect simultaneously. holographic figures appeared around the chamber. Ambassadors, commanders, survivors wearing old imperial symbols, and rival leaders with guarded expressions.
Heir Lyra, the Empire requires restoration. We await your command to reclaim lost territories. The galaxy will not allow a reborn empire. Stand down and surrender authority.
Lyra raised her hand gently, asking for silence. My people suffered because power became more important than life, she said calmly.
I will not repeat that mistake.
Confusion spread among the holographic figures.
I do not seek to rebuild the Empire through conquest, she continued.
Instead, I propose something new, a federation built on cooperation between species and worlds. Some reacted with disbelief. Others listened carefully. Elias watched her closely, feeling proud of how far she had come since the auction. A rival commander laughed. You abandon imperial strength for weakness. Lyra's voice remained steady. Strength is not domination. Strength is the ability to protect without destroying.
The discussion continued for hours.
Some factions refused her vision, while others expressed cautious hope. Slowly, alliances began forming around her new idea. But not everyone accepted peace. Warning alarms suddenly echoed through the sanctuary. Sensors detected a hidden fleet emerging from hyperspace, ships carrying the insignia of the faction responsible for the Empire's downfall centuries ago. Lyra's expression hardened.
They have come to finish what they started, she said. The enemy fleet opened fire without warning.
Defense drones launched immediately, forming a protective barrier around the sanctuary. Elias rushed to the control panel, coordinating maneuvers.
Your peaceful speech just got interrupted,
he said dryly. Lyra moved beside him. Then we defend without becoming what they expect. The battle filled space with flashes of light. Instead of attacking recklessly, Lyra guided the sanctuary's defenses carefully, targeting weapons systems rather than destroying entire ships. Her strategy confused enemies who expected brutal retaliation. During the chaos, the warship that once hunted them suddenly joined their side, assisting with defensive fire.
They changed their minds? Elias asked.
Perhaps they listened, Lyra said. As more allied ships arrived, the enemy fleet began losing advantage. One massive flagship attempted to break through the defenses, charging directly toward the sanctuary. Lyra hesitated. Destroying it would be easy. The sanctuary's ancient weapons could eliminate it instantly, but she paused. What are you thinking? Elias asked. If I destroy them completely, fear will define my leadership from the beginning, she said.
So what's the alternative? She activated a communication channel directly to the enemy flagship. This is Lyra Valeris, she said. End this battle. I offer peace.
The response came quickly, filled with anger.
Your empire died. You should have died with it.
Lyra remained calm. The empire ended. But the future has not. She transmitted proof of alliances forming around her vision, worlds choosing cooperation rather than war. The enemy commander hesitated. Confusion spread through their fleet. Taking advantage of that moment, Lyra ordered non-lethal disruption waves that disabled engines and weapons without destroying ships. One by one, enemy vessels went silent. The battle ended not with destruction, but with surrender. Inside the sanctuary, silence returned slowly. Elias leaned back, exhausted but smiling. You just ended a war without blowing anything up. She laughed softly.
You make it sound simple. It never is, he said. In the days that followed, representatives from many worlds arrived physically at the sanctuary.
Discussions began about forming a new alliance under Lyra's guidance. Some still doubted her, but many felt inspired by her refusal to follow the violent traditions of the past. During a quiet moment, Lyra stood with Elias near the docking bay. When you accepted me at that auction, you could not have known this future, she said.
I just saw someone who deserved a chance, he replied. She looked at him with deep gratitude. You never treated me as property, she said. You treated me as a person when I had forgotten how to see myself that way. He shrugged slightly, embarrassed by the praise. Well, humans are stubborn, he said. We don't like being told what people are supposed to be. In a formal ceremony broadcast across the galaxy, Lyra publicly declared the end of her slave contract and affirmed her independence. She invited all species to join a new federation built on equality. When asked about the human who stood beside her, she said simply,
He reminded me that leadership begins with kindness. The words spread quickly through galactic networks, becoming part of new legends.
Later, as preparations for the future continued, Elias returned to the Wayfarer. The ship felt familiar and safe, unchanged despite everything that had happened. Lyra joined him on the bridge. Where do we go now? He asked. She looked out at the stars. He smiled. Together, they set a new course, not toward rebuilding an empire of control, but toward creating something entirely new, shaped by trust, courage, and the unexpected strength that came from one human's decision to see value where others saw only a transaction. And as the Wayfarer jumped into the stars once more, the galaxy watched, knowing that the heir of a lost empire had returned, not as a conqueror, but as a symbol of hope.